everybody. How is your English? Awesome. Good. Hey, let me see if this stuff works. Yes, okay, perfect. In case you don't know who I am, and you probably don't, my name is Roland. I'm from the Netherlands. It says somewhere I work for the Rabobank. Well, not anymore. They kicked me out. And I mean, that's good. If you're an Agile coach, you have to be kicked out every once in a while. Otherwise, you're not doing a good job. So, before we get started, I first want to tell you that this is a very, 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 very special day for me. First of all, I'm very honored to be here, and that I'm asked to open the show is even more, it's a big honor, so thank you for that, organizers, well done. And, but there's another special reason why I feel a little bit special. This is my son. Yes, and so it says, happy birthday, M.A., because M.A. is the way you pronounce his name. Now I'm filming you guys. So, on the count of 3, please, 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday! Woo! That's awesome, thank you. Oh, now I'm a good dad. Good, let's get to business. I'm Agile Kaizen, so it's about learning and moving towards better, continuous improvement. I don't know if you've seen pictures like these before. They're from marketing and sales, and they look at how products or new technologies are being adopted by people. We have the people who really want to have the early stuff. Does this work? Oh yeah, it does work. Where is it? It's gone. Oh, there it is. The innovators. They want to pay a lot of money for crap, but they want to be the first to have it. And then at the end, there's the laggards. That's the people that wait, and they're thinking now of buying a BlackBerry. That's the laggards, okay? Now, I was wondering, where is Scrum? Do you agree? Yeah? Western Europe, Northern America, Scrum is in late majority. If there's a company saying now, hey man, we're new, because we're going to start doing Scrum or Agile, you go, all right. You're not that hip anymore, right? So we're late majority. There was this report published 2 or 3 weeks ago, so it's pretty new. It's 2019 Scrum Master Trends report by Scrum.org. I got this report in my mailbox because I'm a Scrum.org professional Scrum trainer. And as you can see, Northern Europe, hello, well, you can see it. Northern Europe and America, that's pretty busy. So these were the people that participated in the investigation, in the research, which means that this is also the population of Scrum Masters across the world. So you can have an idea where Scrum is being used a lot and where it's not used a lot yet. Now, the next slide has really got nothing to do with this talk, but I wanted to give you at least one piece of information that you find interesting during my talk, and that's where you can make the most money when you do Scrum. Right, that was it. Now, you want to go back? Take a picture. All right. Now, this is the key slide for my presentation. I was working on my presentation, and then this report came out, and it fitted like a hand in a glove. I was really surprised. It was like divine intervention for me to create this talk today about Agile Kaizen and continuous improvement. Now, it shows that there's 11% of the companies that were asked about how mature they think they are in doing Scrum. Only 11% has a sense of maturity, and the rest is like, yeah, we're not there. I thought that was a big number, so I verified the number in the State of Agile report, which is a yearly report, and they actually say exactly the same. A little bit lower, 84%, is not in maturity. That's interesting. That means that if I think that I've seen some maturity in Scrum, and I can kind of describe these stages from this report that you just saw here, and share with you what I think that happens when you're here and how you know that you're here, and what happens, what you need to do to move up one level. Maybe you guys, chances are big because 90% of the companies are somewhere here, then I've seen this, so I can tell you maybe some information that you will recognize. Ah, we do that. So if I discover that, next thing I can improve my Scrum or my learning. So here we go. Yes. Go on. Yes. I didn't anticipate on switching back here in the slides. Okay, waterfall. Waterfall was originally introduced by this guy, amongst others, but it was back in the 1890s. And it was called scientific management. Don't know if you're familiar with that, but thanks to scientific management, we got companies with managers telling other managers, telling to people who do the work what to do. And it also introduced resource optimization and all that kind of stuff. And it brought us project management. Good old-fashioned project management. So if you want to build software, you hire a project manager, do some Gantt charting, and then squeeze a couple of people to death, and then you will be on time with your project, right? Right? Yeah. That didn't work. So here comes Scrum. Yay, finally. Now it's going to get better. But Scrum is not introduced just like that in a company. It's going with very small steps. Because companies are set up to maintain status quo. Companies are not set up to change. I don't know if you noticed. I noticed. So we do a little experiment. There's this project going on and it's going bad just like any other project. And there's a guy who did an agile training, Scrum Master, whatever. And they add this person to the project team to see what's going to happen. Project managers tend to be like this. And that's because they control all power, right? They've got everything. They control the process, the scope, the schedules, the resources, even the deadlines. And now, if I'm the Scrum Master being added to this project, I'm going to have to tell this guy, right, that he's wrong. And I'm going to tell him, yeah, we're going to cut you up in 3 pieces. You're still going to be responsible for the scope in some sort of way, but I will do the process, and then there's the team who will really build the stuff, is going to be responsible for the estimates. And let's keep this stuff fixed, okay? Let's not fool around with quality anymore. Well, you can imagine that a project manager doesn't want to hear this because he's losing all control. All the things that he thought that he could use to steer a project with is being taken away from him. So you're going to be fighting. You're going to be fighting all along. This is how I felt at my first project with a project manager. It was very difficult for me because I read the Scrum Guide and I had my PSM1, but I was unable to convince this man that Scrum was better. And that was because I really inside did not understand fully what the Scrum Guide says, what it means, right? It's easy to understand but difficult to master. So I had to beat him up every time. And the only thing that I could use to beat him up was transparency. I could tell people, hey, it's not going that good. He's a master in giving good results and showing as if things are going fine, but he's cutting down on quality, right? So I had to be courageous and I had to use transparency. You want to know what happened to the project manager after my project with him? Yeah, we do, right, we do. He left for Thailand, then he became a Buddhist monk. And this is no lie. So during these projects, and you're being the agile guy, people feel suppressed. People are busy finding a next project because this one is going bad. They're not really working very hard on the project, okay? And Scrum is just an experiment, nothing more. How do you get out of this waterfall business? You get out of this waterfall business if you can show people that we cannot predict the future. Because project management is based on, all right, we're now going to make a PSA or something, a big design, and after that we are going to implement it and we're going to be successful. And we already know now how much it's going to cost, which is impossible because you cannot predict all requirements up front. So if predictive planning fails, if people start to understand that, And if you can convince them that empirical process control, which means take a small bite, give it a try, verify what you've done, and change your approach, collect feedback all the time, that's empirical process control. Then you don't need to predict the future. You only need to predict the future for like 2 weeks ahead. Well, we can do that. We can do that with the weather. Well, we can do that for a project. And care about people. Okay? People are not resources. People are people. People start running away from a company if you keep on running projects and let them work over weekends. Okay? So this is the way you can get out of that waterfall stuff and move on to the next stage and grow in your agile maturity. Early stages. Yeah, we're doing agile. There's one little team that we set up in the whole company that's going to do Scrum by means of an experiment, because we've seen that there are some good dynamics there if we put it into a project, but now let's do it with a whole team. Only one team, or maybe two, somewhere hidden in the IT organization. They call it a pocket implementation. You hear that term? Wow, it looks great. You see these guys, they're busy, man. There's this board on the wall, woo, and they have stickies. It's all new in the company, right? Everybody's getting a little bit psyched about it. And all of a sudden people are walking on the floor. You've never seen these people before, but they come and have a look to see what this agile is all about. Okay? Now, I was in one of those teams, and there was a downside. Not that the people came over and have a look, but I found it very difficult because I was still struggling with really understanding the Scrum guide, and there was also people in the team that were actually very good developers who knew exactly what to do, and I had no control over them because I had to be this servant leader kind of thing. I didn't want to become that project manager telling them what to do. I was trying to be a Scrum Master, which is damn difficult. I mean, if somebody does not do Scrum, and you're the Scrum Master, what are you going to do? You have to explain why things are the way they are, right? But you still, at that level, lack the understanding of being able to say the right things. So you're kind of stuck. And I had this very good developer who was at stand-up standing there, and he went like, yeah, so he was there, okay? I said, okay, everybody, it's time, 9 o'clock, time for stand-up. So he was going, he was standing there. So, Cirilo, his name was Cirilo. Cirilo, what did you do? Can you tell me for the stand-up? He went like, yeah. Yesterday I was moving these stickies, and today I will move some stickies too, and no impediments. So it ticks in the box, right? He did his thing. That's what you do at the stand-up. But there was no value. And the difficulty is understanding what to say so that people understand that what they do is crap. Now, we do burn downs. And burn downs are very verbose. You know, they tell you a lot of good information, they give you a lot of good information. Because this is what? This is, well, we did waterfall, and after development you do testing, right? So after development you do testing. Testing has nothing to do with the first part of the sprint, and it's overloaded with work at the end. Probably recognize this? Yeah. Scrum Master was sick, so we didn't update it. Sprint review. Sprint review is great. Especially in the beginning, because there's nobody there, only the team, maybe a product owner, if you have one. And it works on my machine. So you find out actually that there is a concept of done. And maybe you start to learn what done means. And if you really start to understand what done means for the team, then you can really start changing stuff. Think about it. I'm not going to explain too deep because I can spend hours on done. We're done. And there's the retros. And we do smileys all the time. And, yeah, Matt's glad and blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, it's the same. Underlying reason is people need to learn that they themselves are responsible for making the next step. So even if you come up with good ideas for changing stuff and improvements, and you promise that this week or this sprint you're really going to implement it, you do promise. If you don't do it, nothing changes, right? There's nobody else who's going to change the world for you and make you become better in what you do than you. You have to do it. Yeah. So this is the icon that I'm going to use as the team. This is my team, and we're an island, we're doing Scrum. While I was making this presentation, I was thinking, I'm really thinking a lot about myself in this beginning stage, early stage. And I'm concerned about my team, because I need to try to get them to understand Scrum. That's the scope where the problems come from that I deal with in the easy early stage. Okay? So we're happy, we're focusing on ourselves and the team, we're doing Scrum, doing it. What we need to discover to move from early to growing, in my opinion, is if we start to understand the concept of done, then we can start to change really. We need to learn to get away from the old wonderful world that we're cross-functional. Within the team, we need to be able to replace each other. Everybody is a team. And we're learning continuously. Let's go to the next phase. This is cool, because it's going to grow. Scrum is getting popular, and we're growing. And I reread the Scrum Guide for at least 15 times, and I still, well, I like it, and it's good. But I also, deep inside, I know it's true, you know, but I cannot explain everything. But I want you to believe it too, because I'm sure you will believe it. It's great. It's gonna be the new religion. I mean, that's the way I felt. The rest of the team didn't really like it that much, I think. But we do stand-ups, okay? And the management, they want to see Scrum grow, because they think at least it's better than that project stuff that they did before. So they go copy-paste. And we've got a lot of Scrum teams all of a sudden. A lot of them. A lot of product owners. Oh, there's another product owner. Yeah. What product are you owning? Oh, okay. A lot of products. Do we make so many products? Do we need so many product owners? Well, anyway, that's what Scrum says, so why don't we just do it that way? And this is the organization, right? And now we're going to make it a Scrum organization. You know how we do that? Yeah, watch closely. Boom! Yeah! Scrum! We made all existing teams Scrum teams. That's all you need to do. You just name the project manager, product owner. One guy who feels like organizing stuff is Scrum Master, and what? We're done. But it's getting popular, right? So we changed the interior, because now we can get new hires in, because they love Agile. And we're Agile, we're Scrum. But underneath, everything stays the same. Nothing changes. And management still thinks they can predict the future. Because they make yearly plans, they make quarterly plans, and they're going to tell us what we need to produce and what we need to deliver in 5 months from now. So it's just paint, right? But we make excellent user stories, like this one. And we know the difference between time and effort. Because we do planning poker and we estimate in gummy bears. Didn't you estimate in gummy bears? I was estimating in gummy bears the hell out of it. And we have another perfect sprint, as you can see. All the work is done. People are starting to game the system, okay? The work is not done, but you just make it look as if it's done. And I'm a Scrum Master, and I see that the work is, well, at the end of the sprint, we don't care anymore. What? We don't care anymore. Why not? Well, we're self-empowered. And we're going to finish this the next sprint. And we're going to tell you why. Whoa. What else is going to change? Yeah, Roland, look, about all this, with too many meetings, you know? Scrum has too many meetings. And we understand Scrum now, because you've explained it so very well. So I think it's time we're going to, well, let's forget about planning, because planning is just taking too long, and it's no use. We can better, it's more agile if we plan just before we start doing the task, okay? And, oh yeah, forget about daily Scrum. We're sitting on one desk all day long together. We're communicating all the time. We don't need this daily stand-up to align. We're aligning all the time, come on. Oh, sprint view. Nobody ever shows up. But by the way, there's hardly anything to see anyway. We only do sprint review when we have something that we could show. Sprint retrospective, nothing changes anyway. Let's skip that one. Yeah, that's a management request. Can the sprint please be 3 days longer this time so that we can make the release? Thank you. Sure, why not? Scrum Masters making reports for management based on velocity so they can optimize the resources in the team. Yeah, good. I hope you understand that all that I'm saying now is not really the way we were supposed to do Scrum, but people loved it. And you know what a real sprint review looks like? Yeah. Big hand of applause, no feedback. Okay, my team has been scaled around me. There has been scaling around me. There's a lot of teams around me. And I see them, and they give me a hard time, but I can't really grasp what I need to do about it. I'm too busy as a Scrum Master, updating Jira, talking with management, making management reports, all kinds of crazy stuff. And my problems, although they first were, I was busy with myself understanding Scrum, and I was busy with my team, but now there's other teams making a mess out of it, and it's becoming pessimistic. People are not happy anymore with Scrum, and it's becoming Scrum but. To get out of this Scrum but situation, we need to tackle the problem of scaling, because the copy-paste scaling thing was a wrong thing to do, and we need to revert that. We need to find a different way. And we need to understand that making good management reporting is not a good optimization goal, neither is a perfect user story. And empowerment is something else than taking over control by the team. If we can learn that, then it's time to move to the next phase, which is not going to be any better. Because now we see the interconnection between the teams. And this is what happens. Can I go on back? Yes. There's a product owner, and he wants to make a feature consisting of 3 different colors. And he's got teams, component teams, that used to be a component team or a functional department, that can do just one thing. They can do front end, they can do apps, they can do back end, or whatever. In order to get that feature, he needs 3 teams to finish what he needs. 4 teams, 2 orange ones, a blue one and a red one. So what's going to happen, the last orange block here, lower on the backlog, oh, I can do it with this, is not going to be that one, that last one. It's not going to be done this sprint, but next sprint, by the yellow team. We are creating asynchronous dependencies. The work is cut up in pieces, the feature is being brought to a component team. When the backlog is full, the work has to wait, and then there's somebody else later on who has to reassemble that into something that makes sense for a customer. By the way, the red team, all the way on the outside, that red team has got nothing to do this sprint. So they're going to make their own component better. No customer value, local optimization. Right? So we need these 3 teams to make the product. We need to manage those dependencies, don't we? And look at this. So we're going to split things up a little bit to make to get a grip on things again. We have an analysis team, and then they cut up the work into parts for the component teams, and then the component teams make stuff, and they deliver it to the integration team, and they eventually make the product. Okay? And there's new roles. Release train coordinator, or whatever they're called. But it would make sense if we try it in a different way. What if we reshuffle the teams and create teams that go like this? A team that contains a blue, a yellow and a red knowledgeable person. Then the product owner could feed his whole feature to one team, couldn't he? And then the team would be able to, together, finish that. I see people now, yeah, you get the picture. And I've got 3 feature teams. You see wording, Google's not, it's a clever company. It's a clever company. And they make product. And they make it without dependencies. Hopefully. But IT is costing money, management has to cut down costs, so we're going to do DevOps. Yeah, we need to be cross-functional, because everybody needs to be able to work together. We need to be cross-component, we need to understand more components. We need to be end-to-end, and we need to be a feature team. That's a lot of work. We have to be T-shaped, cone-shaped. We have to know a lot. But I was hired as a front-end developer, says a guy from my team. And at the end of the year, to get a raise in salary, I need to do more front-end development. I don't need to do testing. I don't get more money for testing. Oh. So all of a sudden, my problems are no longer in between teams, but they're one level up. See? Organizational level. Ooh. Interesting. Now, as a Scrum Master, I'm just getting more busy. You know, I'm not policing around anymore. I'm not fighting Scrum, but I'm getting more and more into, oh, it doesn't work. I'm more and more trying to be this, servant leader. But most of the time I'm this, and this. Sprint planning, at this stage, is commitment. Okay, we need to have stuff. Management is really impatient. And developers are cutting corners. So they're compromising quality. And this is what sprint review looks like. I blame you. And this is what the retrospective looks like. It's complaining. It's complaining. Because the stuff that we need to fix, the problems that we need to fix are outside the scope of our team. They're either in between teams or organizational level. And then there's the Scrum values that we read about in the Scrum Guide, but the Scrum values are just misinterpreted. Scrum values are being abused by management, because management, in essence, management didn't live the change that we are living now. They're lagging behind. They're the laggards of our product adoption curve. So we have an organizational focus, and we need to move towards principles and cultures. We need to change, in a broader sense, get these agile principles of commitment and focus and what it is to do empirical process control. We need to spread it in the organization, or we will stay in this stage. So here we go, organizational level. This is a very painful stage. This is a stage where people ask themselves if they should continue doing Scrum. They fall back or they stop doing it. We have to implement feature teams to get over it. We have to really live the Scrum values and get that cultural change going in the whole organization. Now, then we can move to maturity. This is Michael. I need to go fast because this is, still I'm on time. This is Michael. He's a communications strategic expert. And he goes to companies. He works for a company called Mindshare, and he goes to companies to tell them how to promote their products on television and all that. And he talks about communication strategy. Now, Michael, when we drink beers, he's always complaining about Scrum. I don't know why, Michael. What's the problem with Scrum? You still go to a company. And then you talk to a Scrum team instead of communication. Yeah, he says that's it. Because that Scrum team, there's people in there who don't know anything about communication. And they come up with all these stupid questions. And by the way, I have to repeat the same story to every Scrum team in that company. Makes me sick. Yeah, because in the meanwhile, our company has changed into an agile ecosystem where HR and sales and marketing and all of that, where it was possible, is combined in teams. So, yeah, people outside our organization will need to adapt to that if they want to work with us. And teams are even more empowered. We empower the teams to, and maybe some companies go to a level where the people, the managers, do hardly anything because the teams become self-governing. And so true servant leadership, which is actually something that was invented by Taiichi Ono in 1954, I think. So it's pretty old school stuff, but it's difficult, and maybe that's why it takes so long for us to implement it. So we were dealing with organizational problems, and we now just in maturity stage found out that the world around us is now causing problems once we reach this stage, and we need to fix those. And we have to try and look out if we can find new ways to collaborate with our customers and our suppliers and our partners. Look for co-creation and give these self-governing teams the space to do that. Where are we going to after this? I don't know if you have ever heard about Ken. Ken writes interesting stuff, and he wrote a blog. And in 2012, he wrote this little article about Scrum. What comes after Scrum? Once you've reached that maturity stage, it's not going to stop, is it? Agile Kaizen is never going to stop. Where are we going to? And he says, well, there's going to be something else, as long as it has these 4 characteristics. And probably it's going to be a platform, or I don't know what it's going to be, but we will create it together. Okay, here we go, the summary. I'm doing fine, 5 minutes for my summary. The Scrum Master challenges or the team challenges from the start, when you first adopt Agile or Scrum, to the end, when you're in some kind of maturity stage. The problems that you have to deal with will first be problems that you have to deal with yourself, and then you will find out that the problems you need to deal with come from your team. And then it will be the interaction between teams. And after that, it will be the organizational stuff you need to fix. And once you fix that, you see it, you have to go outside. And if you plot it over time, it looks like this. Let me go here for a second, just change it. Yeah, it looks difficult, but it actually isn't. So over time, you will see that when you start with an Agile adoption, you're not busy with the world at all right? You're not busy with the blue lines, with the other teams. You're just busy with yourself, with your own team, and a little bit with the organization, because we have to tell them, hey guys, this is what we're going to do. And after that, you forget about the organization. As you can see, other teams then emerge with their problems. And after that, you will see that you're a little bit interested here in the world. Why? Because probably you're going to discover the concept of customer value, which is done. When is something done? Working product in the hands of the customer, you need the customer there. Okay, and after that, organizational change, because we need this cultural change, we need management to be agile as well. And after that, yes, just integrating with the rest of the world. This is it. Everything I've said on one slide. So the emotions per phase, what are we focusing on? What does Scrum look like in that phase? And what do you need to discover? What do you need to discover while you're in waterfall project management? What do you need to discover to move into the next phase? And I'm not saying this is always black and white, one and one. It might vary a little bit, but hey, let's be fair. If you don't understand that predictive planning fails, then how the hell do you think you're going to make feature teams or something? It just has to come first. You have to walk before you can run. I thought it was interesting, but I thought it was also interesting to map it to something called the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is the way you learn. When you learn something new, the first time you go play tennis and you never done it, oh, actually I'm pretty good at it. And then when you're practicing more, you go like, whoa, it's more difficult than I thought it was. Maybe I'm actually not that good. So it's you're from ignorance into despair, and then slowly you really start to master the stuff. Now, if we map that onto the chart that I just showed you, then I think we can see that for the maturity stage, we're actually only still in wisdom, which is the guru stage still has to come. So there's interesting stuff waiting for us. Because the 4% where they of companies where they think, oh man, we're going to stop doing Scrum, man, this is no good. That's where you're in the valley of despair, right? Of the valley of despair, of the really, really thinking this is not going to work. Good. To summarize, Scrum is simple to understand, difficult to master. We've noticed. Scrum is designed to show the relative efficacy of your development effort, which means Scrum is designed to show you what's the next thing to improve, which means it's focusing on fixing problems, all right? It's a perfection vision. You put a dot on the wall. I want to be I want to do perfect professional Scrum. And by looking at that spot and trying to reach it and get everything organized the way you think that looks like, you're going to have to solve all these problems. And it means that actually, by definition, because it's a perfection vision, every Scrum implementation sucks. But that's good, because it makes you learn. It's painful, but it's good. Some shameless self-promotion here. I still have 10 minutes, right? Yeah. I'm going to do a training in Kyiv, if I can, if there's enough people who want to listen to me. I'm going to be doing Professional Scrum Master 1. And I think there's time for questions. There you go. There you go. It says Zachary. Oh, thank you. I was just Googling it, and hopefully it wasn't a dirty word or anything, because I don't know. Is there anybody who wants to ask a question? Oh, yes, sir. Can we have this mic?
Why all Scrum Masters talking about project managers like about bloody dictators?
Well, it's the reason was that Scrum Masters do that is there are good ones and there are bad ones. Okay, there are very good project managers who are very agile in mindset and understand things, but in essence, the project manager has got control over all factors. So there is no. In theory, if you look at what the project manager's responsibilities are, they got control over everything, and that makes them dangerous in a certain way. For a Scrum Master who's like divide and conquer, right? We're divide and conquer. We want separate roles for the for the responsibilities instead of combining it in one. That's one reason. The second reason is project managers tend to predict the future. They don't work empirically. They need to give a quote. It's going to cost you so much. And then they will manage the project to get to that quote, which is a very, let's say, difficult approach because we cannot predict the future. So that's why it's like the counterpart of Agile, where we try to empirically measure and adapt, where project management and managers tend to say, okay, we're going to start now, and I'm telling you we're going to end up there in 3 months from now. So it's just tension, that's what it is. Tension. Sir. Yeah, here's a mic.
What do you do with the clients who still want predictability, who still want promises, although you cannot predict the future?
Okay, what do you do with clients who still want promises? That's the question. Very good question. So this is a thing you can deal with when you're in maturity. Okay, you shouldn't be trying to deal with this in the early stages because you've got too many stuff inside your company to fix. But when you're a little bit more mature, then you could think of collaboration. You ask the customer says, I want to know exactly for how much you're going to build this. And then you tell them, I can do that, and then you name them a very high number, and you probably lose the bid. So that's not going to work. Then you tell them, hey, we could do that, but then probably it's going to cost you a hell lot of money. And I cannot give you actually any guarantee that it's going to work, because let's all be fair, I cannot predict the future. Would you be willing to spend, let's say, an amount of only 2 weeks of that 2-year project to try what we can do in 2 weeks? And if you think that that 2-week thing is kind of good, then you sign for another 2 weeks. Maybe let's make that a month or 2 months, a little bit bigger time span. So you offer the opportunity to give a lot of control along the way. No request for change procedures at the end. It's a pattern, and I think it's called money for nothing and change for free. Remind that. Money for nothing, change for free. Which means that you have a contract, an agile contract. If the company has delivered, we built the software and we've delivered 80% of the stuff, and there's still 20% to deliver, but the customer is actually happy, then we can stop the project, and the company that builds the software gets the remaining money that the customer did not have to spend as a bonus. Something like that. It's a good incentive. Yeah? And change is always for free, because you can change every 2 weeks. How about that? It's a good offer, isn't it? I'm going to be salesman. Who's next? Anyone? Oh, there's a microphone coming. Wait.
Roland, first of all, thank you so much for your brilliant presentation. My name is Elena, I'm Scrum Master at Namecheap, and my question is, what main challenges did you face during your agile transformation, and how did you overcome them? Thank you.
Okay, so have you got the rest of the day? Okay. Let's talk about the most recent ones. Yeah? Myself is my biggest problem, because I have certain things in my way of being, and that is not always handy. When I come into companies, I need to be able to do politics, because I want to drive change, and you can drive change by saying, you have to go that way, which is my style. And you can go like, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, really? Let's go, oh, maybe. If I can make a suggestion, right? That works better. Sometimes, most of the time. So I'm not really that good in those kind of things. So I need to, what my biggest failures is that I tend to agree with assignments where I know there's a lot of politics involved, and I don't let somebody else take care of that politics, but I do get involved. And it's not very handy. Because I'm the guy who brings people into enthusiasm. I can do the change, but somebody else has to do the massaging part with the leaders first. Okay? And tell them, he's a bit crazy, but he's okay, don't worry. Like that. Okay, that's my biggest challenge. Still time? Done? Okay.
My name is Konstantin. I'm a product owner at Namecheap. My question is a bit connected to the one from my colleague Ilona. When I don't think there is a correct answer to the question, but just your opinion. When I first looked at your slide with the states, like from waterfall to mature, at first it might have looked like when you overcome a start stage, there can be only two outcomes. Either you drop Scrum or you overcome all your problem, pain, and you become mature. So in your experience, is it true, or there are a lot of moments when you not overcome them and become mature, but
Become what?
not overcome them and become to go to mature state, but I'd say devolve to early or growing stage and
Yeah.
go in.
I don't know. Like I said, it's not black and white. I think companies that are stuck, or organizations that are stuck installed, can be stuck there for a very long time. And they probably they either really make this they either overcomplicate their organization by putting a lot of coordination on top of the problems they have, and a lot of new management on top of the problems they have, and then they leave the teams to stay Scrum, and then that's the level that they just stay for now, okay? Because they don't even have the ambition to grow towards mature. Imagine this 5,000 people bank, institutional bank, and they do safe. And they want to keep safe because they want to keep management in that fake idea of control, right? In that predictive management. So, and they're not ready to give that up. They will never give it up, probably. So they will not try to drive towards maturity. I think there's a model called Agile Fluency that kind of helps you to understand where you want to go and where you want to stop in your evolution. So yeah, I hope companies will continue and then try to move towards a bit more maturity in Scrum. Yeah. That's it. Time out. Okay, guys, I want to wish you a very, very, very happy conference for the rest of the day. I have one special request. Is there somebody who speaks English and Russian? Because I don't speak Russian, and maybe they can join me, or I can join them when they go to the next talk, and then they can, oh, he's saying this and that. Translate a bit for me. You want to do that? Brilliant. I found myself a translator. Thank you very much.